Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I am Chris Clements.
And, boy.
What are we leading with today, Sean?
I think what's going on with Joe Biden
So
conditioning foreign aid on something he wants? He's leveraged?
Well, I mean, let's
Does
put
this
it,
sound familiar?
Let's put it this way. I woke up this morning. The other day was Holocaust Remembrance Day. And Joe Biden gave a speech where he espoused, why we should remember the Holocaust and that never again should this ever happen.
I thought he did a pretty good job.
And he hit all the high points. He met with the families of Jewish Americans who are being held hostage by a genocidal terrorist group.
Right.
And then last night, he announced on CNN that he was going to hold back strategic pinpoint offensive weapons if Israel goes into Rafah.
Yeah.
So he is helping out. He is assisting. He is abetting the very aiding and abetting the very homicidal, genocidal maniacs that he claimed to be against the other day.
Well, and that are holding American hostages.
Now, you might think that he's the only one who's done that, and there's been no consequences. But the lead editorial today on National Review by Andy McCarthy, who is no friend of Donald Trump,
right?
But it's reminiscent of the actions that Trump got impeached for in 2019. Now, let me just read a snippet.
Okay.
I'm old enough to remember when House Democrats impeached and Senate Democrats voted unanimously, though unsuccessfully, to convict and remove a president for withholding congressionally approved taxpayer-funded aid, which was just passed a week ago, from an allied country, one that desperately needed the aid while fighting a defensive war against a barbaric enemy. Which country would that have been?
That would have been Russia.
That would have been Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
Imagine that. In order to pressure that desperate ally to help the president get reelected. Imagine that.
I mean, the parallels are stunning. And how the Democrats can't realize the egg that they have on their face now. Some of them are going to have to wake up to this because this is it.
This is evil. This is feckless
by definition
and weak.
And precedent. This is an impeachable offense, guys.
Yep.
Joe Biden has committed an impeachable offense.
Yep. On Aaron Burnett's program, as of last night on CNN, he announced that I'm doing something illegal, and I'm doing something immoral, and I'm doing something feckless, and I'm doing something weak, which is what he is anyway.
Yeah. So the question is this a policy? Is this a administration policy, or is he just making this up as he goes along?
Well, that's the other question about Joe Biden, which continues to be part of the discussion.
This might be one of those situations in which it's like, oh, wait a minute. He's the commander in chief. He just changed the American policy on something pretty important on a whim on live television.
Which the only reason that aid was passed, because you have a certain amount of Republicans who did not want to pass any Ukraine aid. You had a certain amount of Democrats who didn't want to pass any aid for Israel. So they all packaged it together in a nice little bow so that to get both constituencies to at least agree on something.
Right.
So what do you think will happen the next time he goes to Congress for Ukraine aid? Exactly. Birds chirping, silence. No one is going to sign up for it because of what he's doing. Yeah. So in one fell swoop, he not only is torpedoing Israel's, necessity to get rid of Hamas. And Hamas walked away from the negotiation table on the hostages this morning.
Yeah.
But he's jeopardizing any future aid for Ukraine.
So where are the hard right Republicans in the House? Are they calling for impeachment?
They should.
I mean,
if I were Speaker Johnson, I would make a speech on the floor and say, this is something that is impeachable, and it's something we need to look at as a conference, and lay down a red line or a gauntlet or whatever you want to say in the Congress, because How do you not respond in that manner?
I mean, this is exactly, this literally is the exact thing that they impeached Trump for.
Yeah. And the Democrats, I'm reading again from Andy McCarthy, National Review, and the Democrats who impeached and sought to convict and remove then President Trump are pretty much the same Democrats now holding the House and Senate seats.
Yeah.
So how do you not clamor for impeachment at this point?
Well,
and it just goes back to Bob Gates, former Secretary of Defense, that Joe Biden has been wrong about every single foreign policy question over the last 50 years, 60 years, however long he's been in there, which has been a long time.
Yes, he has been wrong, and he will continue to be wrong, and this is why he needs to be removed. And maybe
Afghanistan was just the tip of the iceberg.
Maybe this is his way of actually getting himself off the ticket.
Well, you keep saying that. Ballots are going to be printed soon, and it'll be really interesting.
There's no ballots for the general election. They're being printed anytime before the convention. I mean, the convention is where it all happens officially, so nothing happens before that. That's the middle of August. No ballots are going to be printed until after Labor Day. So the question is he now laying the groundwork for the potential of?
You know what? That is an interesting question. I had not considered that in all my,
Is this
my research and understanding of this issue?
Is he doing this to himself, or did somebody put him up to it, knowing that this sets him up for
an impeachment? Because everyone's going to be clamoring. I mean, forget about Hunter Biden and the laptop and everything, and
small beans compared to this,
and everything else going on with the Biden family corruption, which is impeachable. You can go down the line on that. This is unbelievable.
Yeah,
you are purposely
you are literally
you're going to
aiding and abetting a terrorist organization.
Yeah, you're going to aid and abet a genocidal. I mean, they've made no mistake. They haven't caged what they want to do.
No,
they want to kill all Jews.
Kill all Jews.
They want to wipe out Israel and kill all the Jews.
Yeah.
And rape them and murder them and cut their heads off and do everything they did on October 7th. That is what they said.
They want to do it 10,000 times over.
10,000 times over. And Israel's doing everything it can to abate,
to stop that from happening.
To even minimize civilian casualties in Rafah and everywhere else.
Exactly.
How's the what is it, the aid that he was going to do with the big bridge to nowhere or whatever it was? What was it? They were building a port.
Oh, the port.
The port to nowhere.
The port.
And they started building it, and our soldiers started getting fired upon.
Yeah, Hamas is like, oh no, you're not going to help us here.
Yeah,
we're in charge because we drop aid into Gaza. Hamas takes it, and then in order for the Palestinian people to get it, they have to buy it from Hamas. They have to
buy it back. I read that the other day, and I was like, that's unbelievable.
I mean, it's anyone who. If you are pro-Palestinian, you cannot be pro-Hamas.
No,
you can't. You cannot be anything other. If you truly call yourself pro-Palestinian people, then
but that's not what we're seeing on college campuses.
They're pro-Hamas.
They are pro-Hamas. Absolutely.
Pro-Hamas.
They want to eliminate the Jewish people from the face of the
earth. Oh boy. Yeah. So. That's one side, the Biden side. So he's got himself in a little pickle.
That's a big pickle.
On the other side, we have Donald Trump, involved in this trial in New York, but in two of the more important trials, potentially, Georgia has now been delayed because
indefinitely.
Florida's indefinitely.
Oh no, yeah, no,
Judge Cannon in Florida. This is the documents case.
Yes,
that's been delayed indefinitely. So he's not going to be tried for the documents anytime before the election.
And the lead article in the Federalist this morning, did federal agencies plant classified documents to frame Donald Trump?
Ooh. Well, there is some email traffic that comes out.
Lead article, Joy Pullman's article in the Federalist, and this is going to blow up.
Well, I think what these agencies didn't count on was a judge releasing a lot of information as part of the discovery.
And what we've talked about before is that when you get into classified documents, as to what's classified, what's not classified, and you're trying to select a jury and select parameters of the trial, it's almost impossible.
Very complicated.
It's very complicated. And if this is at all true, this case is not going
and this
anywhere. Who
well,
knows?
this case, at this point, this case will die because Trump's going to get elected and squash it.
But meanwhile, the Georgia case is
But
even
the Georgia
more
case,
interesting.
yeah. So that now there's going to be a hearing on the circuit court. I don't remember which court level, but
There's going to be they appealed the judge's ruling.
yeah. So they basically pushed this 6 months,
Yeah.
at least. And
Well, and what I read this morning is that if the appellate judges find that she did have a conflict, that she was stripping her deputy during the time that they were putting this case together, not only is she going to get reprimanded, she might get disbarred, and then this case is going to go away because no prosecutor is going to take a RICO case of this magnitude.
yeah.
So that, and then there's all the salacious details happening in New York yesterday.
So the New York case, which is the weakest, obviously, because they're trying to make a federal case.
out of a misdemeanor.
Actually, they're trying to make a state case out of a federal
case.
issue.
Yes.
But you read all the salacious stuff about Stormy Daniels being on the stand, talking about they were in the missionary position and blah blah blah. What in the world does this have to do with paperwork violations?
It has nothing to do with
I mean,
paperwork violations.
this is
all to just
absolutely a joke.
And then her story has changed like 4 or 5 times as to what actually happened that night. And then you've got people on MSNBC saying, "Oh, she's a hero," and people should ignore what she did for a living. And it's like, no, that's material. If she's going to get up on the stand, and during cross, what she does for a living is kind of a thing.
Well, I mean, the thing is, this has already been litigated in the American people's mind.
Yes.
This was known.
Yes.
In 2016.
Absolutely.
And he got elected president.
Yeah.
So what the Democrats think they're trying to accomplish here just is
I
a
think it's
mystery.
backfiring splendidly.
100%.
Splendid.
Because it is not moving one person away from him or to him.
No, if anything, it's making independents look at him differently and say, "This is ridiculous. What are we doing?"
That's probably true.
Potentially.
But there's definitely more chance that they're going to be like, this is a bullshit case. Why are they doing this to him? Than they are, oh, I didn't know that. They knew that. They knew he had sex with her. What the heck?
She's been out there touting this for the better part of 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And now,
No, more than that, because it was in 2015.
well, no, 2006 is when she said this happened.
Right.
And then, and then it came up during 2015, and then she started really making the circuit in like 2017, 18, and making a federal case out of it.
So,
but her story has changed time and time.
well,
and
again,
it changed yesterday on the stand.
And it doesn't matter because ultimately this is not going to change. This is not going to be anything other than strengthening Trump's position as he runs towards re-election.
Yeah,
towards
there's no
election.
doubt about that. And all those cases are it's a very interesting time at how much overreach what we have seen in this regard in terms of the lawfare against Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, that's really true. So there is, at the same time as these trials have been going on, there's been this, he has a very public way of going through this VP selection process. Right?
Oh, yes.
So he wants to get the best TV he can out of this. And I will say that there's one person who's been on the list that has not done well lately.
Oh, you're talking about Kristi Noem?
Kristi Noem of South Dakota.
Of South Dakota?
I don't know that I would publish a book talking about killing a puppy and
Point
having
blank.
a meeting with Kim
Jong-un?
Kim Jong-un.
Which never happened.
North Korea, which never happened. I mean, this has been, you want to talk about a case study of how not to release a book? This has got to be it.
Yeah, but I mean, it even goes deeper than that. So you and I have a lot of friends in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. people who say they're friends.
we've been known to partake in a CPAC event here and there.
Yeah.
So several years ago, the fair governor was seen on the lap of one Corey Lewandowski at CPAC by many, many people that we know. And so I just think that she has deeper sort of moral issues going on than just shooting the dog.
Yeah. Well,
Going out there and trying to defend shooting the dog and then the Kim Jong-un thing, it's just like icing on the cake for sort of what the narrative has been about her for the past several years.
well, let's put it this way. She's not going to be the pick.
No, she's not going to be the pick.
If she was on the list, she might still be on the list, but she's further down the list.
No,
is my
she's not
assumption.
going to be the pick at all. But it's been an interesting implosion over.
Yeah.
And as she goes on all these different shows and Fox News and Hannity and everything, and
I will give her this.
tries to justify what a lot of people still can't understand. I mean, if you grow up in rural America and you have to put a dog down, get that. A 14-month-old dog that's still learning what to do and because you hated that dog, okay.
Apparently, I just read this, that she put this in her first book.
And they rejected
They pulled it out.
Yeah, they rejected
So she's really wed to this story.
She's pushing
I don't know whether it's
the
guilt
dog
or
dog
if it's
death.
like I need to prove that this was okay to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I will say that she is still higher on the list than Carrie Lake.
Yes. And Carrie Lake is vying to be our next senator.
She's vying to be.
And some local news that happened last week that got my attention. That going back to even the area of foreign policy and what a disaster foreign policy has been for this president, going back to Afghanistan and you know who's been really pushing that foreign policy is a guy named Antony Blinken.
That's right.
And he's our Secretary of State.
That's correct.
And did you know that he was a guest this last week at the McCain Institute
saw
Sedona
that.
Forum?
I saw that, and I was
along with Janet Yellen.
Well, but I was astounded that Antony Blinken was there, because this is the guy that John McCain got on the floor of the Senate and said is a danger to America.
Yes.
That this guy, when he was up for appointment as Assistant Secretary of something in the Secretary of State's office, I mean, not even Secretary of State. This is when he's a lower level. John McCain said this guy is a danger to the United States.
Yeah. John McCain roasted him. He roasted Janet Yellen a couple times. John McCain did not like these people. What is the McCain Institute thinking?
I don't know. It's pretty astounding.
And then they had Kirsten send him up there. They had
that makes sense.
where's Mark Kelly? Mark Kelly flew in from Houston to be a guest at the McCain Institute.
Was he
That's
there?
great. He was there. It was a Democratic love fest at the McCain Institute Sedona Forum, which leads me to question, what the heck are you people doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, I don't know enough about the McCain Institute as far as what they're up to lately, but the idea, I was really, really shocked to see Anthony.
Yeah, it's not like they liked each other. I would imagine.
I mean, and I don't think that changed. I don't know.
It makes no sense.
It's very, very, very interesting.
I think the McCain Institute needs to take a step back and reassess, who their namesake is and what he stood for and the people he stood against, especially on the foreign policy side.
Yeah, well,
and the defense side.
I mean, he clearly had a different.
I
view
thought
of foreign
maybe
policy than,
would John Brennan be there next? Perhaps.
look, if Blinken's there, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that literally is the only person I know of that John McCain eviscerated.
Well, Brennan he eviscerated.
Well, that's true.
Many times during committee hearings. They did
but
not
it's
like
in
each
the
other.
in the appointment, in the confirmation process.
Yeah.
McCain was brutal on.
But that would have been the icing on the cake if Mitt Romney was there too. So they had one kind of token squishy person. Yeah. But Brennan would have been the icing of just the insanity of the Sedona Forum.
So speaking of insanity,
oh my, here we go.
Marjorie Taylor Greene decided, even after negotiating supposedly with the speaker.
Yeah, they were in a meeting for like hours.
Hours. They've been meeting, and the speaker, was taking everything she was saying and, we're going to work on it. And then she decides to go ahead and call the motion to vacate.
Yeah. She got 43.
Well, Steve Scalise immediately issued a motion to table the motion. So there wasn't a vote on the speaker's vacating. It was a vote to table. So a no vote is the pro Marjorie Taylor Greene vote.
Yeah.
Right? And so there were 43 no votes, and 11 of those were Republicans.
Yeah.
It was Marjorie Taylor Greene and 10 others. And not surprisingly, Paul Gosar was one of them, and Tom Massey, because they were the three. And then you had Eli Crane join, Andy Biggs, and then a handful of others. So she took it as a win. She's like, look, we had more people vote against, vote my way than voted against McCarthy. But a lot of people pointed out this was a motion to table. You can't guarantee that all those 11 would have been with you on
it
removing
doesn't
the
matter.
speaker.
I mean, to me, it just shows how broken the far right of the party is in terms of the request for clicks and coin. I mean, this is all about raising money. Has nothing to do with principle. It has everything to do with getting on camera and making a name for herself during an election year, and has nothing to do with any defensive principle.
I am so glad you said that because the news coverage has been, especially from like the inside the congressional reporters that you read, like in
like The Hill and stuff.
The Hill and
I've read some of those.
But there's one that comes from Punchbowl.
Punchbowl News.
Yeah, which are very. I mean, that's about as insider as you can get. I mean, they've got just amazing reporting from The Hill. But they were analyzing this and saying, well, we don't think that Greene's going to get. They're talking about how Greene and Johnson both won and both lost, and they're like, well, Greene's definitely going to lose because they put her in the loss column for the situation. She's not going to get anything she wants. It's like, well, no. You think what she's saying
is what she wants.
What she wants is attention.
Yes.
And to raise money. So
she's
to
just
your
raising
point,
money.
She's just raising money. Yeah, and she
raising
knows,
money and raising her profile.
She knows that as soon as when people started to say, "Oh, I don't think she's going to go forward with the motion," I was like, is she going to give all the money back to all the donors that she's reached out to say
she has to?
She has to do it because she's walked herself out on that
locked
plank.
And then in the meantime, if Republicans win the House and are able to get some things done between now and election to further endear themselves to just voters in general, she gets reelected, she's going to be in a tough situation.
I mean, I don't know what. Have the primaries happened in Georgia? Does she have a primary? My guess is that she's, she's in a safe rural district in Georgia.
Well, and then Trump told her not to do it.
Yes, that's one of the very interesting things.
Trump said, "Don't do this." What are you
Trump
doing?
has been
we don't need this right now.
Actively protecting Johnson.
Johnson was down at the GOP meeting down in Mar-a-Lago last week.
Yeah,
I don't believe she was there.
No, you know who else wasn't there? Carrie Lake wasn't there.
Carrie Lake wasn't there. Yeah. I have a conspiracy.
What's that?
So it was reported last week that Trump and DeSantis had met.
Yes.
I still think his best pick, if he can make it happen, is DeSantis.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it will, but I still think it's his best play. If they can get over a couple things, it's his best play.
Well, yeah. We're going to have some listeners who immediately say, "Well, they can't because they're from the same state." Well, that's easily
you can
fixed.
fix that. You can fix that. He's considering Marco Rubio too.
Yeah. So that happened with Bush and Cheney. Cheney was a resident of Texas.
Yeah, you can fix that.
So
that's not
Cheney went and re-registered in Wyoming. Trump can re-register in New Jersey, anywhere he has property.
Yeah, he can go to New Jersey.
Go back to New York, can go back to New Jersey.
Yeah. I just think it's the best play, and I'm hoping it is the play. I'm not saying it will be. I'm not going to make a prediction about this because the other people in play are weak. They don't get him anything. DeSantis gets him something, and it gets a person who can step into the job, and it scares the crap out of the left. Like, viscerally scares them. I'll just say it, shitless.
Yeah.
So,
you're probably right.
it's the best play from just a strategic standpoint. Burgum doesn't get him anything. Rubio doesn't really get him anything. Some foreign policy experience.
I was going to say Rubio probably does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely on the foreign policy side, and Hispanic voters.
yeah.
Tim Scott gets him, I think a minority play, and it kind of
Tim Scott would have to grow into the administrative part of that job.
Yeah, probably.
I just think DeSantis is the best play. I'm not going to discount Rubio and Tim and the rest of them, but it's the best play, and I just don't. Can their egos withstand it?
I don't know. I don't know.
And with that, I think we're getting the
That's
hook.
a great question.
But-
okay, one last thing.
Yeah.
I've raised Lake a couple times.
Carrie
She
Lake.
has a problem. A judge ruled this week that how she
with
admitted that she
Stephen Richer?
Yeah, she admitted that she defamed Richer and lied about it, and she was wanting to go straight to a monetary judgment. Let's see how much I owe him for being a liar and a defamer. And the judge said, well, guess what? There's going to be discovery. So there's still going to be discovery. So what you
she's still
think
gonna
you
have
were
to
getting
spend
out
money.
of is now at risk. So, and that discovery, the calendar
It's
on
August,
that
right?
is August.
Yeah, right
And
smack in the middle of everything.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah,
That's a
I
problem.
was at an event the other day with Stephen, and he was spry. I'll just say
I'm
that.
sure.
He was spry. He was
sure.
he was very talkative at this event. It was an event to they want to get rid of partisan primaries here in the state, and he was at that event. I wonder why. Yeah, I think that's kind of a conflict, but that's just me.
I don't know. Well,
Yeah, the Make Elections Fair initiative.
we'll have to talk. Yeah.
We're going to dive into that with
Make Elections California.
Yeah, Make Elections
Make Arizona,
California,
California. Yeah.
with Chucky Coughlin and
We're
the rest of
gonna-
his merry men.
We're going to have to talk about that one. 'Cause
Yeah.
that is a non.
But Stephen was very spry, and he's very much in favor of this initiative. Although
Is
he
he?
can't come. Well, I don't think he can come
Are you
out and
sure?
say it, but he was there, and it basically was a campaign event. They tried to mask it as not one, but it was.
I would be surprised.
I would be surprised too. But I've seen him associated with some of their literature.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. But Mike,
he denies it. He's like, I was invited. Okay, great.
yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go.
All right, you got to go. I guess we're going. All right, thanks everybody.
All right, bye.